This is Jane Hedengren. She doesn't know it quite yet, but she is about to become a pretty decent runner within the next few years. Alright, maybe more than decent, but let's not spoil the party just yet. Hedengren's running diary seems to begin sometime around 2017, where around the age of 10 she competed in what seems to be one of her first cross-country races. But by 5th grade, she participated in her elementary school's track and field day, where she not only ran a 6:23 mile, but seemed to do it in jeans, which funnily enough may have been a more common occurrence than many would think. Next year, however, she not only ran a huge personal best of 5:42 in the mile for her elementary school record, but in 7th grade, competed as high as the national level after winning a state title in her age group, finishing in the top 20. Then the 2020 pandemic rolls around, and of course it puts a damper on the competitive running scene, but her father, John Hedengren, who was an ex-D1 national tier runner, would host a series of time trials to not only keep Jane engaged with the sport, but even helped pace these races to help out as much as he possibly could. The results included a 5:33 mile, a 2:32 800, a 5:30 mile, a 5:27, a 5:28. There was no shortage of high-quality racing Hedengren was getting in, and this behind-the-scenes work would be put on display very nicely during her 8th grade cross-country season, placing just out of the top 5 at the AAU National Championships, and also crushed parts of the Utah cross-country scene as well. 2021 rolls around and not much activity on the track is seen from Hedengren, but as she entered the high school stage of her life at Timpview, it became clear very quickly that she could hang with junior and senior level talent, easily placing in the top 5 at just about everything she lined up for. After qualifying for the state meet as a freshman, she went for it all in the 5A race, hanging with Utah's best before going head-to-head with a junior runner down the home stretch. Sadly, Hedengren would ultimately be outkicked, but a low 18-minute 5K and a runner-up finish at the state meet was more than a great start as she headed into her first high school track season. Obviously, this early Hedengren has proved to be a very strong runner in her home state, but the track season seemed to be even more representative of her true aerobic skill set than what cross-country could offer. She ran 10:17 in the 3200 at the iconic and densely competitive Arcadia Invitational, broke 5 minutes in the mile on a healthy amount of occasions, and to make matters even more shocking, won 2 separate state titles for both of her state debuts. In the end, she would finish her freshman year with not just 2 state titles, but also had the 3rd fastest time in the entire country as a freshman in the 3200. Hedengren's sophomore year continued to show great improvements on all fronts. In cross-country, she took all of her freshman year times and really just stamped a 17 on top of every single one now. She also took her first ever state title in the sport, winning by over 10 seconds as well. Instead of ending her season here like most girls would, Hedengren shot for a spot towards the Nike Cross Nationals meet, where at her regional qualifier, she would need to place in the top 5, not including girls from the top 2 winning teams. An 11th place finish was close, but only 2 women in the top 10 even ended up being from winning teams, meaning she was 4 placements out from a qualifying spot. Now, despite missing out on her first national meet, the track proved yet again to suit Hedengren's strengths a bit more. Except this year, she really kicked things up a notch. With a return to the Arcadia Invitational, she opted for the mile and stayed in the back given the front runner was out in a blazing 66 seconds. About 1,000 meters in, she moves up and has soon done enough work to secure an easy 2nd place. The final time? 4:43, a near 10-second personal best. This was a fantastic mark, but it soon became clear that Hedengren had also developed a potential rivalry now, and that was between her and Sadie Engelhardt from Ventura, a Californian athlete from the same class as Hedengren, and one that also many were predicting would become the greatest American high school runner to ever live. Now that is a frightening standard to have to go face-to-face with, but Hedengren seemed completely undeterred and would actually bridge the gap a lot sooner than really everyone would think. As in the middle of June, she would get the attention of the entire high school distance running community with these times.
Except for Jane Hedengren, who won the race 4:35.69, smashing Juliet Whitaker's meet record.
3/4, Julia Bruce. Jumping.
4:35.69 for number 2 on the all-time sophomore list, just behind no other than Caitlin Toohey for an 8-second personal best at that too. To make matters even more convincing at Nike Outdoor Nationals, she then eclipsed the near decade-long sophomore record of Hannah DeBalsi, running 9:54.38 in the 2-mile for her first ever national record. It seemed like both of these marks quite literally came out of nowhere. Sure, 4:43 as a sophomore is generally a fantastic predictor for future success in the coming years, but for said success to happen within the next 2 months? And to perform these marks in virtually back-to-back fashions, no one was ready for it, to say the least. And the crazy part was, things seemed to get even more out of hand very soon. For Hedengren's junior year, she took a more conservative approach to her cross-country season, only racing at a pre-regions meet, but then opted to run at the Woodbridge Cross Country Classic a month later. For those who aren't quite familiar, this meet was and still is the gold standard in terms of pre-state championship competitions. A polished Californian grass course that was flat as could possibly be, that also invited just about all of the best athletes on the West Coast, and this year was no exception. This was also Hedengren's first time going head-to-head with Engelhart on the grass, but there were also plenty of other heavy hitters that were looking to take the sweepstakes race title too. Here's how that race would ultimately unfold.
From last year, she's in 9th. Alexandra Fox, Louisville Flower Mound, rounding out the top 10. Looks like 7 runners within 2 seconds up front. So again, we've never seen a girls' high school field this deep individually for a high school invitational in season. Looks like Hedengren on the outside, Leishman. It's going to be very tight. May have been Hedengren, the taller of the two.
In an unexpected battle with sophomore prodigy Elizabeth Leachman, Hedengren would outsprint her for the win, but the time of 15:32.5 was the fastest 3-mile time ever run by a high school girl. Despite the sheer hype this time omitted, and the fact that Hedengren would obviously now be ranked number 1 in the country, she only ended up lacing up a single other time for the rest of the season, where she did successfully defend her state title for the 2nd time in a row. A local article mentions a stress fracture she had been dealing with around this time, and by the winter, a training video between Jane and her father also suggests that she had to stay away from running for a few months and had only just begun serious training again. Nevertheless, the Tim Few star came back running 10:02 in the 3200 for her indoor debut and spent the next month preparing for her first Nike Indoor Nationals, where she would square off against Leachman again. Hedengren did everything she could around the banked 200-meter indoor track, but Leachman pulled away handily in the end to run a number 2 all-time mark of 9:44.16, with Hedengren still running a fantastic PR of 9:49.45. Given she had just started to get in shape again, the following months would still have you believe that with times like this, she would likely be running the show by outdoor season. Right? Well, not exactly. While she won Nike Outdoor Nationals without much issue against Leachman, she got dominated by senior Allie Zealand at the Brooks PR Invitational, and at the Arcadia Invitational was beaten quite confidently by Engelhart. If you haven't caught on yet, Hedengren is currently involved in what appears to be the most impressive girls' high school running era ever seen. While she has certainly contributed to that greatness, she unfortunately seemed to be just barely at the bottom of this incredibly competitive totem pole. Some outlets even ranked her as low as number 7 for distance runners for the 2024 outdoor track season. Although if you look into this list even a little bit, you would realize that she very likely fits around this range more than anything. It's honestly baffling they even put her this low, to be honest. But regardless, by next year, she would return to the Woodbridge invite for the 2024 cross-country season, and while Hedengren did run near her 3-mile national record, 3 other girls managed to beat her and her record by a notable margin, one of which surprisingly included a teammate of hers. At the Utah State Championships though, she would beat that same teammate by an entire minute, so in a strange way, this Woodbridge performance actually may have just been an off day for her. In fact, compared to what she would do at her NXN regionals meet, Woodbridge may have been an extremely off day, because she frankly made this regionals meet look like an outright duel meet.
I'm going to save a little here in case somebody comes up. I think
504.
5:04 for Hedengren, and that's again a great day for Utah cross-country running with BYU's championships in Madison. Southwest champ Jane Hedengren, T-Birds cross-country, Provo, Utah.
Takes the race out from the gun, doesn't look back, 15:50. And no, this was not a 3-mile race. That's a 15:50 grass 5K, completely solo, and she destroyed the defending NXN champion, Addie Ritzenhein, by over 40 seconds. Unsurprisingly, Hedengren had now occupied the #1 spot yet again for the pre-national rankings. These pre-race rankings, however, have shown that anything can happen on any given day when a race as volatile and brutal as NXN can show up. The conditions looked rough again this year, and the course has also shown to be quite unforgiving as well. It's great to go in as the #1 ranked runner, but this was the most stacked field NXN had arguably ever seen, and was the first time all of these girls had lined up together to truly prove who the best distance runner actually was. And this is how it would all pan out across those next 16 to 17 minutes.
This is Nike Cross Nationals 2024, Girls Championship Racing over 5,000 meters.
Fitting in the back of my old diary. I gotta break some
line. It looks like they're going to get to the line right about now, so the lead is up to 10 seconds for Hedengren.
Scream beneath the spider ring. I gotta break some time. I left it all unread. The more I know, the less I seem to care. Weighted down by everything and falling through the air. And the more I hold, the less that I can bear.
She is just rolling out front.
Party's over.
She's running unbelievably.
The race is over. The record is over.
In the fire ring, I gotta break some time. You raised it anyway. Screamed across the city from a windowsill. I gotta break some time. That's all you had to say. But the more I know, the less I seem to care.
Fastest time ever at Glendevere Golf Course in 16:37.8, but that record is gone on this rainy day in Western Oregon. Jane Hedengren reigns supreme, and she will be the Nike Cross National Champion in 2024, shattering the previous record by Caitlin Tui.
Jane Hedengren didn't just win over perhaps the greatest field ever assembled at Nike Cross Nationals, she executed one of the most brilliant running performances ever seen at the high school level. Not only did she win the national title by over 40 seconds, like she did at the regionals meet, but had surpassed the iconic NXN record set by the GOAT of high school cross country, Caitlin Tui, by 5 seconds, in what seemed to be notably worse conditions too. Hedengren has spent the greater part of 2 years fighting tooth and nail to beat a few of these girls by even a second or two. But this race spoke volumes about where she truly felt like she belonged in the high school scene. She was, frankly, in a lane of her own, and for the 2025 indoor season, this was a concept she would reinforce more than anyone could have ever imagined. After likely taking some well-needed time off, Hedengren debuted her indoor season at a fairly low-key Utah meet, running 4:36 in the 1600, and then headed on over to another low-key-ish meet in Idaho. In what was essentially a 3,200-meter time trial, she ran the #2 all-time mark in the event, a 9:37.50. But hold on, something's a little off here. Pocatello, Idaho? Hold on. Elevation, 4,500 feet. Plug that in there. Put that there. Huh? That's pretty fast. In fact, it would surpass Mary Cain's en route record by a comical amount of time. if we were to even take the most conservative estimation possible, she would still be well within national record shape and could very likely translate this fitness to other events. The question is though, would she actually end up doing this, and if so, how many events could she potentially take down? Well, here's how that went down.
3 years ago, a month today, the second left but lost my way, and now I turn through heather walls. When Jenny says she's seen it all, she means from here to down the hall. And there it is!
We're going to have, for the first time ever, a 2-mile for the girls. She is going to go after the national record in the 2-mile here at Arcadia.
But I'm running out of strength.
She breaks the national 2-mile record there.
I love running. I don't know when time begins. I don't know when time begins.
Hedengren breaks 15! Jane Hedengren, did anybody see that coming?
If you're talking about rewriting history books, nothing really tops this at all.
With belief, great things can come, and just kind of putting yourself out there and enjoying it and loving those around you, and that's the beauty of it.
The seasons change, the walls remain. I can't recall my mother's name.
They can see history making right now. 4:23.50 US U20 record for Jane Hedengren.
I'm running out of strength. And I ruin everything. Still fun. I love running. I don't know when time begins. I don't know when time begins.
And look at that clock now with a lap to go as she's going to absolutely obliterate it.
I don't know when time begins.
Number 8 on the all-time list in U.S. history at any level. Not only a U.S. record, but one of the best performances you will have seen in American history in the 2-mile.
Well, she broke.
There is a lot to break down here. Let's start with the indoor times. 5,000 meter indoor debut, leads for almost the entire race, takes the lead back when she does lose it, 15:13 for the high school record by 12 seconds. And yes, that includes the outdoor one. 2 days later, comes back to run the mile against Blade again, but this time runs the entire race alone. Final time, 4:26.14, national record number 2, but let's make it number 3 by throwing the indoor 1,500 meter one in, since that was officially recorded during the race. Then we get to outdoor, where things just go completely off the walls. Runs at the Festival of Miles, 4:23.50, decimates the record. Not only that, but it's 0.04 of a second off of the D1, yes, the D1 collegiate record. But unfortunately, it's also off of the high school 1,500 meter one? A little strange, I know, but let's cap this off with by far the most egregious record here, which is the 2-mile one. About 48 hours after her mile record, she shows up to this race, front runs and gaps the field within the first 300 meters, uses no drafting, ignores the wave lights entirely, and runs 9:17.75 for the there's no point even mentioning the national record. It is a top 10 all-time American mark that includes professional runners. For those skeptical, even if we use the slightly more competitive event, which is the 3,000, it is well above a laundry list of professional runners that have run the event before. So yeah, it is the real deal. In the end, Jane Hedengren has broken 8 American high school records in a single season. This means from the 1,500 all the way to the 5,000, both indoor and outdoor, she occupies nearly every single one. Even if she didn't dominate the scene for multiple years in a row like other high school phenoms have in the past, this single season easily makes up for all of that. It's honestly unbelievable to see an athlete run effectively senior level times across 3 separate events in a few months, and to do it in a way where she had just about no competition for almost every single record outside of the 5,000 meter ones. I mean, these are times that can get you into some Diamond League fields, easily Continental Tour ones, and to see them occur at almost exclusively high school centered events is just surreal on every level. With all of that said, this is a friendly reminder that expectations should still be tempered at the end of the day, especially with an athlete this young. Hedengren's accomplishments should be celebrated, and it is beyond exciting to see what she will bring to the table in the next few years, but it's also healthy to respect whatever the results may be, because athletes like her likely have a mountain of pressure on them as they head into the collegiate and potentially professional field soon. All in all though, it is definitely going to be awesome to watch it all unfold in due time, but until then, this has been the rise of Jane Hedengren, and thanks for watching.